the United States, where the United Nations General Assembly took place this week, the AFDB, the African Development Bank Group, is leveraging its position as the continent's frontline development finance organization to help in mobilizing strengths and capital needed to leapfrog prosperity across the continent. Now let's take excerpts from the AFDB chief, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, and some of the partners at the sideline event held earlier this week at the UN General Assembly in New York.
I thank you for finding time to be with us today as we discuss and explore how the African Development Bank and other philanthropies can work together for a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient Africa. This week at the United Nations General Assembly, they adopted a landmark pact for the future. Delivering on these to advance sustainable development goals will require significant levels of financing at a time of dwindling official development assistance. Yet, the cost of achieving these SDGs have increased from $2.5 trillion to $4 trillion today, with the financing needs of Africa alone being $1.3 trillion. The African Development Bank plays a big role, of course, in mobilizing resources for Africa. And it is the premier financial institution in Africa, the only AAA-rated financial institution on the continent, and therefore we are able to raise a significant amount of capital on the global capital markets to drive development for the continent. And I think the African Development Bank is what you hear, but we also have what's called the African Development Fund, which is a concessional window of the African Development Bank Group that provides concessional financing for low-income countries. The African Development Bank focuses on 5 areas of work, which is, we call them the high five, to light up and power Africa, to feed Africa, to industrialize Africa, to integrate Africa, and to improve the quality of life for the people of Africa, which has to do with health, water, sanitation, and also the whole issue of nutrition that we're talking about and stunting and stuff like that. Today, in the past 7 years, these high fives, as we call them, has impacted the lives of more than 400 million people. And therefore, we, as your partner, we work at scale, and we have the resources to deliver measurable impacts on the ground. Philanthropies like yourself, we are very delighted to have you here today, have unique, specifically unique characteristics that make you very important strategic partners to accelerate development efforts. Foundations, philanthropies, they take long-term perspectives. They provide catalytic financing for initiatives. They build human and institutional capacities. They bolster knowledge creation, and they show best practices. Because they are also very nimble, they can pilot programs and inform what works or what doesn't work, while fostering innovations and leveraging learnings between actors for best practices. Philanthropic organizations play a critical role in bridging funding gap and are significant contributors to global economic development. The organization, the OECD, Organization for Economic and Cooperation and Development's data indicates that in 2022, private philanthropic organizations contributed $10.4 billion towards global development, up from $3.4 billion in 2013. That data shows that Africa is the largest beneficiary of this, receiving $2.9 billion per year.
Our conscience should trouble us. If we eat and we are comfortable to see children hungry every day when we could do something simple about it, because what is it that stands in the way? Political will. Because I think we can design these programs to get down to 15 cents, 20 cents a meal, okay? If we can send, men to the moon, we can design a low-cost, high-quality school meal, yes? Clever businessman like Mr. Dangote here can sure figure it out. Use the micronutrients in there, get the recipe right. My friend from the Rockefeller Foundation has a low-cost recipes. Yeah, we know about micronutrients. Yeah, we can do this. And parents are willing to co-pay. In the program I saw, parents were co-paying 15 cents on a mobile money wristband. Okay, it worked. And so some places they can afford 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents. It will vary by region. But the combination of very low cost, very low price point for the meal and copay can increase sustainability. Get to that point where the contribution from government and philanthropy is limited, okay? That's where we need to go to so that this thing can scale, okay? But it's, from our experience in Kenya, we know it is feasible, and Food for Education with that $125 million is going to go into 5 more African countries. And so it's a great honor to make a $50 million commitment of the Children's Investment Fund Foundation to this partnership with the African Development Bank. But the African Development Bank can help us do something that we aren't as well placed as them to do, which is increase political will of the heads of state to get behind this. We can help bring partners and technology and execution and design, but we must have political will, and it is time now to end what is correctly called a scourge, a stain on all our consciences that we have food and children don't have food. That can't continue.
So one of the things that I think is so amazing about what Chris said is that school meals is really coming to the fore. I would disagree, though, Chris, on one thing. You said it's a 2-for-1. It's actually a 6-for-1. Not only is it a nutrition security, but it's an economic development play. It's a education play. It's a gender play. Girls go to school more and stay in school longer. It's a climate action play. And I think and it's an adaptation and mitigation play. So I think there's so many things that school meals do that we're starting to understand. And it's one of the reasons why the School Meals Coalition has been the most successful coalition after the Food Systems Summit. 100 countries have signed on to that. But as Akin mentioned, who's my brother and was a Rockefeller Foundation colleague, we need to work together. And so the Rockefeller Foundation, along with the School Meals Coalition, Nova Nordis, the Global Partnership for Education, are working to develop a school meals delivery unit as part of the School Meals Coalition that will work with countries to develop the most effective, efficient, cost efficient, as Chris mentioned. It's not easy to go from 2 to 10 million kids. It's not easy to feed 20 to 30% of the population, and we need to provide the technical assistance to countries. So we invite anybody who wants to be involved with this. We can only do this together. So